Welcome to Travels with Tulsans, sponsored by the Friends of the Tulsa City County Libraries. I'm Marion Sexton, and we are glad to have you join us on this snowy day for the fifth of our 2025 Travels with Tulsans presentations. Next Wednesday, hopefully back at Rudisill, our wonderful Friends liaison, Tara Ferrar, is taking us on a wintry Netherlands weekend. Come join Tara next week as she lets us explore Amsterdam and Bruges, Belgium. Our travelers today, sharing locations off the beaten path, are Bill and Nancy Hermann. Bill is a chemical engineer by training. He has worked for several Tulsa-based technology and manufacturing companies for over 5 decades. He and his wife Nancy began to travel extensively during work-related posts in Abu Dhabi and London. Nancy and Bill have been married for 48 years and journeyed to 66 countries. Bill's longtime hobbies include photography and jazz. Nancy has written for numerous publications for nearly 40 years. She was honored with the Governor's Media in the Arts Award in 2014. Nancy served as Director of Marketing at the Tulsa Performing Arts Center from 1993 to 2016. A trained art historian from the University of Tulsa, she has a passion for Gothic cathedrals, pasta, and any place that has a beach. Nancy currently writes about travel and entertainment. Please welcome Nancy and Bill Hermann.
Good afternoon.
Hi, nice to be here. We don't have to travel far today. We're lucky.
Not this day.
And our presentation is going to be off the beaten path. A lot of these countries that you'll see the name come up, we've just chosen some places there where you may not have been. And I believe that a lot of folks that are tuning in are big travelers. And so these are some places, sometimes they're just day trips where you can go. And so we'll just start. Bill, you want to talk about our travel philosophy?
Well, we kind of copied something that Rick Steves, who's has his own travel agency and writer, who said the more money you spend traveling, the further away you are from the local culture. So we try to honor that for both reasons, but I think that's really true. The other thing, Marion mentioned that we lived overseas a couple of maybe 4 years, 2 at a time in the Middle East and London, and the difference between living someplace and traveling someplace is quite different. Somewhere between those two is knowing somebody who lives there, and that helps a lot. So we sometimes we're on that end of the spectrum. So I think we should go ahead and,
Okay.
and start. So what's first?
Okay.
It'd be good if we could make that work.
Okay. So Fiji, it is closer than you think, really. Actually, it's way out in the middle of the Pacific. Here it is, north of New Zealand and west of east of Australia. And we got there by traveling from San Francisco. And here we went to the town of Nadi, and that's where the international airport is. There are two places that are two big towns in Fiji. One is Nadi, and then the other is Suva, yes, which is to the south. But most of the population is around Nadi, and it really is a port for a lot of the islands that when you go to Fiji, you'll want to visit. So we left for San Francisco. Easy flight, rough over the Pacific, but when you get there, you will love it. In Fiji, there is, yeah, go ahead, Bill. One of the words that you will hear night and day is
Bula.
bula, and people will say bula to you all the time. It means hello. It means good health.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. This is actually in the garden of the sleeping giant. But one thing that people will think about Fiji, they will be associated with, beautiful resorts. And in the town, right by, not too far from the Nadi Airport, is uh, is this like an area where all the upscale hotels are, and that's Denaroo. We stayed about 20 minutes out. You had to take an Uber whenever you wanted to go somewhere, but it was right on the seaside, and it looked like this, and it was very calm, serene. Um, okay, this is in the Garden of Sleeping Giants, which had all kinds of orchids. There's very little arable land in Fiji, but what there is gorgeous gardens. The wet season is November to April, so you may want to think about that because some places on the island get a lot of rain, and they also have cyclones.
Where it's growing, the variety of flora is really extensive, and you can see some of those
Yeah,
inside that
yeah.
botanic garden.
And this is at our resort. This is called the Christmas flower. I'm sure you'll have the orchids. And here's a minor bird.
It's a common minor. They're not common here, but that's a minor bird. No, they're the ones that will copy your speech.
But if you like bird watching, or you like flowers, or you like snorkeling, some of the best snorkeling in the world, hiking, this is the place. So we decided to just kind of get out on our own and look at some of the landscape, and this was from a lookout here. And this was a bunker. What was the role of Fiji during the war? They were an Allied outpost. So these were the guns. The Fijians were very active in the war, in the Solomon Islands. The Fiji belonged to um, England for a number of years, and Bill can talk about that.
Yeah, I noticed a little red check mark in the middle of all these. It looks like a Nike commercial, but I don't know why it's there.
I don't know why it's there now.
Under the bird. It's on all these.
What is there? Anyway,
Anyway, there was a time in the 18
yeah.
something when the British, who also, of course, owned India, brought 60,000 people from India to work in the sugar cane fields.
Mm-hmm.
So that culture stayed there. The idea was that they could work for 5 years and decide whether they wanted to stay or go home. And many of them stayed. And that is why you will see evidence of Hindu religion and Sikhs, and that's a temple that's in the town Nadi.
Here's the temple. And so the British brought in the 60,000 Indians, and this was from 1879 to 1916. And Fiji was under the rule of Britain until 1970, when they got their independence. Of course, one of the big draws of Fiji is to get on a boat, go to Denaru, and just hop on a charter boat, and they go to a variety of islands. This is Tuva Island, and we spent the day there. This is this is not me. This is what you kind of think about.
Not me either.
What you kind of think about, and infinity pools by the sea, and this is a different island. They greet you, and then you spend the day. You can rent a chair, get in the water. You can snorkel. We went on a glass bottom boat. We took a tour of the medicinal trees all over Fiji, the Fijian islands. And then we got in the water, and I went, that looks like sharks. And sure enough, there was probably, I caught just 2 with my camera, but there are probably about 8 just swimming right by us. But everyone said, oh, they're just reef sharks. So don't worry about that. There are big shark attacks there.
These are tiny. They're like 3 feet long,
yeah,
or 2 feet long. Yeah.
And this is kind of the idyllic scene, just to kick back, have a barbecue. This is actually the thermal pool and hot springs. And you see me in the center here, washing my face off. But before that, we got completely muddy, covered with mud. And then we jumped into this pool here. The bottom is all sandy. I never would have thought a million years that I would do something like this, but other people that we were traveling with did. And I said, oh, what the heck? And so there we are. It was a gorgeous day. In Fiji, it seems like it's always kind of going to rain. There are these dark, beautiful clouds that appear on the horizon, and then it may rain for just a while and then not, and then it clears up and it's gorgeous.
Uh, a lot of times when you're visiting a place, they'll bring out a show that is presumed to represent local culture. I don't think these guys look like that all day long. I imagine they work in the 7-Eleven or something. But where one place where we're eating, they brought these people. You can see there's actually 3 people in this picture, based on the knees there at the bottom, and they are dancing with lighted torches. And at one moment, the guy in the middle set his pants on fire by accident. And I think it kind of looks like he's already done that there. But anyway, you feel a little patronized when people do that, but then that's the job they're doing,
Yes,
and it's the part of their
it's very entertaining.
entertaining.
And it was
yeah.
it was gorgeous. Other things you may want to know about Fiji: the Fijian dollar is the local currency. The tap water is not potable. You can't drink it, which, even when you're brushing your teeth, you got to think about that kind of thing. Tipping is not encouraged. And when you want to get out to go somewhere, and like in the town, like Naughty Town, you have to dress conservatively. So you always want to be aware of that in countries that has Islamic or
And
Hindu, that
Yeah.
you have to dress conservatively. So short shorts in town and all that.
One other nice thing about the culture, you might think, well, is this a scary place? Some places you go, you really don't want to go out alone at night. Nancy accidentally left her cell phone on one of the
On the island.
and we were able to track it down, and they brought it back from the island to us without
Yeah.
any question. I mean, anyone could have had that anywhere
Yeah.
along that chain, and they said, no, that's how we are.
Yeah.
Also, there's very few people on the island, so I imagine everybody knows who everybody is and where they are.
Well,
And it's a long way to get out. But,
not 900,000 people on the island total, so
Yeah.
mostly in the areas. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's good night, Fiji,
And
right? That's
there's
the
night Fiji. The
sunset.
sunset every night is, something to watch, to savor, kick back. Okay. And that's what Fiji is all about. So,
Another island. Where are these?
yeah, where are these islands? Oh, this is something. Now you go to Ireland and you think, okay, I'm going to go to Ireland. I'm going to, go to Dublin. I'm going to go Ringakerry. But these Aran Islands are something very special. And here, this is where they are.
So you can see Galway up there in the upper right corner, and
Yeah.
this is the islands in the red loop.
Yeah, you catch a boat from Galway, takes maybe 90 minutes, and it's can be very, very rough seas. So,
Can be.
yeah, it can be. But we landed here on this island, Inisheer. Yeah.
Inishmaan. Oh, Inisheer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
And pardon our pronunciation all the way through this. These are difficult languages for us. So.
yeah. Okay. Arrangement. Okay. Here we go. Inishmaan is where we were. Okay.
All right. Next.
All right.
Oop.
Okay. And I don't know what these are.
There's a lot of, I don't know what, red strings that don't belong in the picture.
I don't know. But anyway.
Hope that'll get worse.
This is the main town there, and it is Kilrowan Village. And it is there. This town, the whole island, there aren't very many people on the whole island, populate 1,400. And there's only like one ATM on the whole place, one supermarket. And so most of the activity is right there. And the population of this island has actually decreased over the years. Okay.
Yep.
And this is what it looks like for the most part. Okay. Maybe I don't know what that is down there. And all the old fences are out there dividing the land. It's a very ancient site. Here's what it looks like for the most part.
A lot of Ireland has ruins of old fences
Yeah.
like this, like that.
Yeah. And here, this is the visitor center, and this is the long walk up to the ancient fort. And the ancient fort is on Aon Gasha, and it is, let me see, 1500 BC. And so this is the main, out of all the Aran Island, this is the main place to go. And this is the fort at the top up here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you would arrive at the visitor center and then take this long walk up to see this fort. Here it is from top. It's beautiful. I mean, you know, the bleakness and the starkness of it are something to see. Okay.
Oh, yeah. One thing we might say about our travel is that we say we're trying to do a lot of it before we can't. You know, we will certainly age out of it, maybe sooner than later. Some people are really pushing it. This fellow was in a motorcycle accident and really he's got a lot of artificial parts in him and everything, and he struggled all the way up that hill to the fort. It was kind of inspiring that he had that attitude.
And here, this is what the fort looks like. Okay.
That's what I look like, I guess.
And, you know, you've got to be careful that, I mean, there's no, you know, railings, whatever. And, you know, this is a 300-foot, 390 feet drop. So,
That would be fatal.
yeah.
Ah,
There's another ruin.
of a church.
And then
We'll catch up here. There's a lot of ruins.
11th century churches on the island too. So let's get out of the bleak and the Aran Islands. You know, it's a great place. Very few people, and it's worth a day there. Spend a day there if you like to hike, and also if you like to bike all around the island. Okay. Okay. So Procida. I know that you all have probably been to a lot of the islands around Italy, Capri, you know, Ischia, but Procida is right off the Bay of Naples, and it was called the cultural capital in 2022.
Or so their sweatshirts said, yes.
And here is what it looks like, and this is a guide showing the map. Kind of looks like a cat. And this is a view from high in the. And this is a church. Oops, kind of.
Well, no, I turned it sideways to be
It's
bigger.
side. Okay, so this is in the church, and this is a gold coffered ceiling in the church there, and it is Saint Michael Archangel, Archangel,
Archangel,
Yeah,
Archangel.
the Archangel from 70th century covered ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
This is all gold. It has Saint Michael defeating Satan, and this is at a very important church there. Beautiful. This is the seaside. You know, it just, we couldn't get enough pictures of this. It's just so gorgeous. It's a little fishing village. It's called the Marina Coricella. Okay, and the village of the fishermen. This is from a view from on the top. And so you can see this is the Bay of Naples over here. Okay. There you go, close in.
You're right, we couldn't get enough pictures of this.
And to get from one side to the other, you walk through all these homes and little houses, and they're all gorgeous. This is go ahead, you can talk about this, Bill.
Oh, well, one of my habits is to take pictures just because of their graphics and their color, but it's not really a good travel log because this could be in my backyard. But you know, there it is. That's my style. Here's another one.
This
like
is
that.
another picture. So Bill does art shots, and here are the close-up of the houses, and you go down one of these islands, and you end up on the other side where there are a lot of upscale restaurants. But the houses themselves are just, you know, pieces of art. I just, you know, love the weathering of the paint. Just adds to it. This is on the other side of the island where it's busier and where all the commerce is.
Mm.
And this is going out. There are a lot of films that were shot here. This particular area, the barge scene from Cleopatra was shot here. And in the movie, you can see this tower here in the movie, which, you know, of course, wouldn't belong in ancient Egypt. But also the postman was shot here, and the talented Mr. Ripley. And you can just get a ferry over from Naples for a wonderful day trip and enjoy the great food and wine there. So,
Woof. Let's go
Iceland.
Go north.
I know you all have been to Iceland a lot, probably. Probably a lot of people have been to Reykjavik and been to the Blue Lagoon and all that. And so we won't talk about that because we're talking about places that people have not been to. And so we went up to, I do this here, way up here, the western part. And this is, you know, excuse my pronunciation, Isjafjord. And so we landed in Isjafjord on our ship. And this is just a shot from the town. And then we took another smaller ship through the fjords and went all the way to this Hestry, which is an abandoned settlement.
Mm.
I'm pointing to it.
Yep.
we got on a smaller boat from the other boat, and this is a very small boat, and we got off here. You can see these people. They're probably, you know, a young couple that stayed there and hiked and whatever, and they were waiting to get off the island. There's really not a lot to do there, but you know, the starkness of it and the quiet of it.
I mean, it's famously that it was abandoned. The people just said, you know, enough of this, and got up and took everything with them.
Yeah.
And there are a few houses left, and local people come there. They have summer houses, but there's not a permanent population.
It was once home to 80 people, and there was a whaling station there and a herring station. This is the doctor's house, which is still there. It used to be a hospital, but now it's like a Airbnb. And here's the Old Town Cemetery. There used to be a church there.
Yeah, they say they disassembled it and took it with them and left this monument, you know, probably from the spare parts.
And you can see where the church was, but they took a whole church with
Oh,
them
there's
and
a,
left.
yeah, a little picture of it. Mhm.
And this is walking down on a hike down to the doctor's house where we had this, you know, lovely lunch inside the house. And then I spotted an Arctic fox, and you know, it was a kind of it's very rare. I mean, you only see these in Iceland and parts north, and so it came and was not friendly, but I took this with a photo lens, but I was happy to see that.
They turn different colors in the seasons. They
Yeah,
become white in the snow
yeah.
for camouflage. Yeah,
Right. So,
yeah.
okay, then we went over to say Disjifidor. We'll just spend a little time in there, and this is the lovely town there in Iceland. And this is Gunnar Gunnarsson, and he is an Icelandic writer, actually, but he spent a lot of time in Denmark. But he came back to Iceland, and here's his home there, which has become an art institute. And always love to go to, well, I love to go to churches for one thing, but I love to go to writers' houses and look in their studies. And you know, here's his actual
I don't know if you
writing.
noticed that, but the roof is sod, as is the yard.
Yeah. So Gunnar Gunnarsson, here's his study. I always like to see a writer's study, interesting. But looking out from his backyard, this is the view he had. Okay, Taiwan. You can talk about it.
Well, on the map you can see Taiwan. It's in the news a lot. You know, who owns Taiwan is a matter of dispute between Republic of China and the local people there. You can see where it's situated with respect to Japan and Korea.
Okay. And
But we didn't go to Taipei this
we didn't
trip.
go to
We went to a
Taipei.
little town up on the north east corner there called Jiufen.
Jiufen. And it's about, you know, an hour out. You will land if you're on a ship, you'll land in Keelung, and then we took the ship to Jiufen. Yeah. And it's an old mining town. Okay, and it's a mountaintop town, and this is a beautiful sea view that you can see. This was occupied for the Japanese for many years, especially when gold was found. And there's this monument to the gold mining there. Then the Japanese had to relinquish it after the war. So some of the houses there. But the main places to see are the beautiful streets with the red lanterns, the kind of the signature of the town. Here you go. Tarot balls.
Cell phones.
And tea houses. And anything else about, I think that's about it. We're going to move on to Argentina. And not all of Argentina, but some of the places you may not have gone to. Okay. We started out by landing in Buenos Aires, and then we flew to Mendoza, which is 600 some miles. It's actually closer to Santiago. But we did some wine tasting, and which is the big draw there. And then we went up to the Andes. And this is Aconcagua.
Cargua. Not sure.
Yeah, which is 22,000 feet. Okay.
The
And it just,
highest peak in
yeah, and this place is accessed by, I mean, you can get here from Mendoza, and this is some of the scenery there. Quite majestic.
yeah. Oh,
One thing you have to know about Argentina, Bill's a vegetarian, but they produce 3 million beef tons of beef a year. So, and we went to a place, a barbecue place in the Andes there,
this would be part of why I'm a vegetarian.
and
It's the restaurant supply guys coming.
and so I brought this just well tied into the other slide, but if you go to Buenos Aires, I mean, there's lots of things that we won't show you because you've probably seen, Eva Perón's tomb and all that. But what we like about going to Buenos Aires are the different neighborhoods, and there are 48 barrios, and one of them is Almagro, and that's where this tango hall was. This is called a cathedral tango hall. Tango hall. It has a real bohemian vibe, and we saw this during the day. And we walked around the neighborhood. It's excellent. People watching there. It has an old cafe that's been around. This tango hall has been around here since the 19th century, late 1800s.
Yeah, looks like it.
And also in the town is this beautiful cathedral. It's 1900, but it is made in a neo-Gothic Byzantine style, and it is the Basilica Maria Auxiliadora y San Carlo.
We did study Spanish
Well,
50 years ago.
if you go before noon because they close in the afternoon, but it's hard to capture. It's this spectacular place.
That's ceiling of that same church,
Yeah.
right? Mhm.
And the notable thing about this also was that Pope St. Francis was baptized here. And of course, if you go to Buenos Aires, you've got to go tango. And we did. We took tango lessons, and then
That's us.
yeah. And then we went to hear tango band, and not in a place that's like a show on a stage, but actually a tango hall
For the local people.
for local people. And we got up and danced with our instructor, and then we let the professionals take over.
Yeah, fortunately.
And going down to the Falklands. Okay, Bill.
So, well, you can see they're very far south, and they are also have been a disputed territory between Argentina and the British, who really occupied it first, I think. So you can go ahead. That's a statue of Margaret Thatcher, so kind of establishing who owns the place now. You can tell from the street scenes here. They have memorials. The British presence is very evident. There's a red telephone booth, just like you would see in England, and a pub like you would see in England. So, but there's a pretty small population of permanent residents, and most of them are British. And in particular, they like to take care of their gardens. And you can see that would be typical row house type of thing, I believe. But oh, I think you went backwards. And sometimes the gardens are bizarre. This one's occupied by a lot of gnomes. I don't know. That's part of their culture is to show their gardens. So yeah.
The British really established 1845 and Port Stanley. This is in the Port Stanley area. The Argentines, of course, will not call this the Falklands, but they all be the Malvinas to the Argentines. And then there was the Falkland War, a real interesting war. We decided to go out into the interior and see the interior, but part of the interior features a lot of what's left over from the war.
That's a helicopter, obviously, and then there are areas where there are still live landmines that are marked.
Yeah. But the whole land is 4,700 miles in the Falklands, and two main islands and 200 smaller islands.
Yeah.
Then this, when people say,
When people say, where's the most memorable place we went? I think it probably has to be Antarctica. We were on a ship, and it's okay to be off the beaten path because from what we've read and what we were told, only 1% of humanity's ever seen the place. In fact, nobody had seen the place until what, 18
yeah, late
something. I guess
1820.
they
First
just
seen
missed
it.
it because they were staying too close to the
Yeah,
Africa and South America.
they missed it a lot because of the Drake Passage, because the Drake Passage between Cape Horn and Antarctica is so treacherous, which we went on, that people just never.
It's maintained in a very pristine state. When you're there on the boat, they don't let you take plastic cups out on the deck because they might fall into the water.
Mhm.
Antarctica is kind of operated by a coalition of 30 countries
Mhm.
and some penguins, which are
Yeah, these
those
are
little
penguins.
spots down there. That is a cruise ship from it's Holland, America,
Holland.
Norwegian. So that's how most people would see it. They're not getting off on the land.
Mhm.
It's possible that they have helicopter cruises, but it's
Yeah.
really very controlled and pretty darn expensive to do that. We did not.
We do not get off, but
But you
you
can
could
get close, as you saw as those
it's
other.
just massive. I mean, it's so hard to capture the grandeur of this place. And in Charlotte's Bay, we saw I don't know how many whales. It was just
That is a whale, that black
yeah,
thing.
um, spectacular.
That was my favorite shot. A bird flying over there because these caves are in the icebergs, and
Yeah,
one of those is at least 20 miles long, so they're huge and they are slowly moving.
yeah,
And sometimes these waters are not navigable. There's huge waves that can be what, 60-foot swells. When we were there, they were 20, and you could
yeah.
certainly feel it, but it was lucky weather for us.
Um, so
Uh,
70% of the ocean's freshwater preserves are frozen in Antarctica, and you can see this.
there they are.
Yeah.
This is a research station that some nations have. They're really
Mhm.
staffed by their own
Mhm.
nationals that are doing
Mhm.
research on weather and environment.
Mhm. What I like too about traveling is not so much the land. Sometimes it's being in the famous waterways, like the Drake Passage, like the Magellan Strait, um, and also like reading up on like Robert Falcon Scott and Ernest Shackleton and Amundsen, all these people who were early explorers and discovered the poles. And here's that Drake Passage.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. There's a red line.
And so, I mean, people now that I'm reading in magazines are going here just to experience the Drake Passage, which we said we had 20-foot swells, and our boat actually dropped 20 feet. And I think it was the only time I said, I just don't know. This was a good idea.
But it was.
But, I'm glad that we did it. And this is the Cape of Good Horn.
So we're looking back up to the
We're-
tip of South America.
Tip of South America, yeah. And then there's a graveyard here of 800 ships that have,
Not made it through the Drake Passage.
and this is Patagonia. There's Ushuaia, Tierra del Fuego.
That's Ushuaia.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call themselves the end of the world. They're the most southern part of
Mhm.
South America.
So just the grandeur here is spectacular. But we're going to go up Chile, the coast of Chile, and see some of the fjords. And then we're going to go to the Chiloe Island, and that's where that is. So you see Santiago is up north. We took a ship up to Santiago and Valparaiso, and then we flew down to Puerto Montt to visit Chiloe Island because I thought, well, it's shrouded in a lot of mystery, but in Puerto Montt, this is the view. This is the Osborno volcano, and our hotel room faced this, but they said you may never see the volcano. And we got there, we couldn't see it, and then the next morning we woke up, and this is what we saw.
Because of the mist.
Yeah, this is on Chiloe Island. As I said, the island is shrouded in mystery. They believe in trolls and gnomes, and It's 3,400 square feet, and it's noted mostly for its old wooden churches and its painted buildings. Okay, this is in Castro, and also these
Stilts.
on stilts. Um, uh, the whole island, well, much of the island is a UNESCO heritage site because of those. And these are where fishermen used to have these. They could pull up to the back of their house. Now you can't do that anymore, but most of these are bed and breakfasts. Okay.
Those people are.
Yeah. And those are called palmitas, I believe. And this is one of the old churches, old wooden churches
When we
in the
say
town.
made of wood, when you see the interior, was that next? It's wood. I don't know any place else I've seen a church that was looked like a marble church, but it's wood.
Yeah. This is from the 1900s, early
Yeah.
1900s.
There's the front of it. Wood detail.
Beautiful flowers. We could do a whole thing on flowers and food, I think. Okay. And this is back in Puerto Montt, and there are several national parks. This is a volcano top that we hiked on.
There you can see that it's got debris from the eruptions of volcanoes.
Yeah.
That's why the landscape is so bleak.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
not
this-
all of it.
Yeah. There are several national parks. This is one of them. And then we went to a llama and alpaca farm.
And there they are.
And this is the view of Osborno at night.
At our hotel.
Actually, we could see 3 or 4 volcanoes, but this is the most spectacular.
That really is the moon.
And this is an island off Chile that we went to, and just for the penguins.
Yeah, so all those dots that you saw, they're penguins. They're running loose. This is all occupied by penguins. Some of which are having babies. There's a baby. They live it down in these little holes under the rocks.
You could also see a lot of penguins, of course, in the Falklands and Magdalena Island.
There they are. Friendly penguins.
Okay,
Woo!
now going to the Azores.
Where are they?
Okay.
So you can see the Iberian Peninsula there in Spain and Portugal, and the Azores are those little islands pretty far offshore from Portugal, but they are a protectorate, I guess you could say,
Of Portugal, along with
Portugal.
Madeira.
Yeah.
Madeira and the Azores are protectorates of Portugal. And they're about 870 miles west of Lisbon. The largest city is Ponta Delgado. Mild temp
You can
all
go to
year
next,
long.
see,
Okay, Ponta Delgado, yeah.
lower right.
And this is some of the island. It's just very lush, and everywhere you look, it's very manicured. Pineapple plantations. And this is called, it's spelled Furnas, and it's pronounced Fornache. And these are fumaroles. The whole island is very volcanically active.
She's talking about the steam jets you can see in the lower right, and then off lower left and upper right.
Okay.
Those are from the volcanic activity and under the ground. It's hot down there. Yeah.
This is more of the bucolic rolling green isle. And this is a lake in a caldera that
So that would be,
the Lagos das Sete Cidades is what that is.
but it's warm water because of the volcanic activity.
Yeah.
A what? Caldera, yeah.
This view from there.
Ooh.
Okay. And this is the Parque Terra Nostra Botanical Garden. And it's been around for 100 years. And you can get into this pool there, which is a mineral pool, and people come here for their health, and it's warm. And
It's not a mud pool like the one in Fiji. That's colored that way because of the iron content.
And they're said to have the largest collection of camellias in Europe.
And that's one of
And also, I like this fiddlehead fern.
them. Looks like monkeys hiding in there.
And Madeira, there you go, is another protectorate. Okay, so we went to Funchal.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
okay.
Again,
This
green as can be.
terraced, this terraced.
That's looking down from a height to the edge of the sea and how much of it is cultivated there, and again, how green everything is.
Okay, right.
And maybe one of those art shots.
Yeah. Actually, 4 islands. They're all green and volcanic and rugged, and they have 103,000 people. It's a shot.
Yeah.
The interior, which we did travel quite a bit, is all lush and green and gorgeous. But the coastal areas, of course, are idyllic. Some more developed than others. And so, we could spend a lot longer on each of these places, but we're just showing you some of the out of the way places. And this is Madeira as well. Okay, Cambodia, our recently place, and we're wrapping up.
Yeah, tell us if you're out of time.
Yeah. So we decided to go to Cambodia and Vietnam. We're going to go to Thailand on Tuesday, but we decided to make this a separate trip. And of course, that's where it is. And this is Phnom Penh, and this is the Golden Temple there. Phnom Penh, interesting town. It was once emptied out by Pol Pot, and this was like 1975. During the whole Vietnam era, this whole area was in an upheaval, and a high school here was made into pretty much a torture chamber. Go ahead.
It just reminds me, it's a lot of the places we all go, we go there because there's attractions that were built by people 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, a few hundred years ago. Maybe the people that live there aren't really even the same folks that did that, but this place and Vietnam, um, these are our military presence there, and that of France and pretty much everybody else's, Japan, that swept through there. Those people that we're talking to are the ones that was
Yeah.
their parents.
Their
were
parents lived through this.
there. So when Pol Pot
Killed 3 million people.
that's the Killing Fields movie you might have seen. So they were going to institute his brand of communism, and they wanted no intellectuals there. So they were killing people that were teachers, professors, even people that wore glasses, they said, because
Yeah.
they look smart. I don't know.
Anybody that looked smart. We wanted to
So,
go
yeah.
back to an agrarian society, and
So
so
it's really grim.
what they did is they emptied out the whole town and killed a lot of people. Interesting history, very sad history, lovely people. When you go to Cambodia, of course, Angkor Wat is a major attraction, and this is, accessed by Siem Reap, which is a really lovely town that I recommend you going to. And these are the temples here from 1150 AD. And the grounds there, 402-acre temple complex. Bill actually climbed these steps, and it was going to rain, and I said, no, I think I'll stay down here, you can climb. But just beautiful ornamentation. This is a bridge on the way into the Bayonne temple area.
Understandably, a lot of it's damaged and some of it's restored, and you can kind of tell, but I don't believe that one's been restored. Those
This is
are
the area of Bayonne.
ancient.
There's Bayonne, there's Angkor Wat. I like the moody interiors of a lot of these places, and it wasn't very crowded. Some people go to Angkor Wat early in the morning to see the sun shine. You want to see that?
No, give them
Yeah.
a little bit, give them
Okay.
5 seconds or something.
Okay.
But I would.
Okay. And then this is called the Raiders of the, I mean, not Raiders Lost, the
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
Was
Yeah.
shot here.
Was shot here. And this temple, it decayed, and when it decayed, the tree limbs grew into the crevices and became part of the structure.
I think you mentioned, Nancy, that they didn't use mortar.
No.
So the tree roots are able to find their ways through all those paths and that become part of it, really.
Yeah. Oh, all right. This is the Ta Prohm Temple in the late 12th century. Also in town, you can take in some of the dancers. They were beautiful. Notice how their hands and their feet are so expressive, and that is a big part of the dancing here.
They really look like sculpture. They're so
They look like
behaved
sculptures.
and in their mood and their mood.
And this is the town outside. It's near a lake that is the largest lake in Cambodia. You can talk about it a little bit.
Well, this is that tunnel lake. It's famous for having floating villages. This one isn't floating, it's on the land. But the understanding there is that there's a lot of houses there that are they're floating. You can see them in kind of on oil drums. The guide said that people who live here are happier than the people in the village. I didn't ask the people, but he said if you don't like your neighbors, you just up anchor and move to the next spot. Besides the houses, there are shops that
Floating shops.
Local stuff, floating shops, and you could buy an alligator's skull, I guess. We did not.
We did not.
And it doesn't look like, not to be political, but communism has helped them as much as they had hoped. But like the guy said, we're not starving. More floating houses.
Yeah, it's the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia.
It's
And
big. You can see it on the map.
It's named a biosphere reserve by UNESCO. And this is just, yeah.
But the water, it isn't clean water.
No.
It's muddy and whatever, because that's the
But it's something to see. It was a great day out.
Very important to
And
see.
then we spent the afternoon in the wonderful, wonderful museum in Siem Reap. And
The Buddhist relics.
okay. And we're closing down
To
Ireland, and
this is our last stop. Should we do it?
yeah, let's just do it, I guess. And just because there aren't very many slides, but I know everyone spent a lot of time in southern Ireland,
In Dublin.
but we went and spent time in Derry, which is called Londonderry. Here's relative to Belfast, very northern. And here is the Peace Bridge. Okay.
We say the Peace Bridge because this is the troubles that characterize Northern Ireland. We tend to think that they're settled somehow, but they are still working on that.
This is the River Foyle. Okay. And there was a popular TV series called Derry Girls.
And there they are.
And this is St. Columns there. It's a walled city. It's a lovely place to go. So I highly recommend that from Belfast day visit, or just we spent like 3 days there. Went to the golf tournament in Portrush there while we were there. And this is Hands Across the Divide sculpture.
And this, presumably promoting the idea of peace between the factions, the political factions there, to the extent that that's worked. And we're still in Derry here, right?
We're still in Derry. And, there was the Bloody Sunday took place there in 1972, where 13 citizens were killed by the British. And, that erupted into the Troubles, which still have not. So there's still a lot of bad feeling.
Are we in Belfast now?
Yeah.
So one thing we did was it's called the Black Cab Tour, Black Taxi Tour. And what it is there's a driver, and it was we and one other couple drove around in Belfast and saw the evidence of the division. So you can say, okay, this is remember with pride, but look down in the lower left where there's some people pointing guns at us. You can still see that kind of. The neighborhoods are divided. There's walls in some places. The school system is divided by people who are sympathetic to the British and then to the separatists. And it's still going on. And I think because it's in the schools, it'll probably last until the next
Yeah.
generation at least.
And the last stop, if you're in Dublin and you want a day trip, go to Hooth.
Hoth.
Hooth.
I don't,
It's
we're
rings
not
with
good at
both.
that either.
It rings with both. Hooth.
Yeah, both of
And
us.
a lot of famous people have lived here, like Bono, and there's a terrific cliff walk and
Well,
ancient churches.
again, yeah.
It's a medieval 15th century abbey, St. Mary's Abbey. And Yeats lived here right on the cliff. I've
Mm.
spared my dreams under your feet. Tread softly. Because of you, tread on my dreams. Because you tread on my dreams.
There's the house, very modest house he was in.
Yeah. That's his house there. And then you can't go to a fishing town without having a delicious lobster lunch. So,
Well, you have made it all the way through. That's
Yeah.
our last slide. Questions, I guess? Would that be appropriate if we can hear people now?
Sure. That was wonderful. I have a few questions. Let me find my notes that people have asked. Where does
We go to a different thing besides the lobster here.
the lobster's pretty well? I haven't had breakfast yet, so it's looks enticing. Okay. First of all, many kudos on your photographs. They were gorgeous.
Thank you. Nancy
And-
took most of them. Yeah.
I did not. You took a lot of
The ones that broken walls, that
the
was
good
me.
ones were his.
And a couple of people thanked you, were impressed that you didn't melt down when we couldn't see your pictures, that you were calm and cool.
Well, we could be better. I think we just punched the wrong thing over on the right, but
It's fine.
thank you. Yeah.
All right. Laura asked, could you tell us more about the medicinal trees of Fiji?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was kind of a small side tour where it's traditional trees and herbs that are growing there, and they tell you what they're good for, and they people who are promoting it believe that for different conditions. I think they're outside of mainstream medicine, should we say?
Mhm.
But
Yeah, they were for a variety of things, the common cold, cramps, and they named the trees. I can't remember exactly what they told you to take for what, but it was a whole tour of one of those little islands where they said, here, this tree, and we do this, and we grind it up, and usually there would be somebody in little villages that was in charge of telling you what to do and how to do it, and so that's what that was.
Wonderful.
hope that
Okay.
helped.
To everyone else, if you want to put any more questions in the chat, go right ahead. I love the cool colors from Procida.
Prochita.
Procida. It looks very steep going from one side to the other, was it?
No, it wasn't. Well, we took an Uber up to the top, and that was wild because it was very narrow. And I think I have a video of us in a cab ride because I could not believe we were going at that speed up those narrow. And then we walked down to the one side where we saw the boats at first, and then we were told to walk through those houses in a winding street and meet everybody on the other side because we took a day tour with some folks, and they weren't sure we were all going to meet up again because it was so windy and crazy between the fishing village and the main side where we're ultimately going to catch our boat back to Naples. But that was fun, just wandering and kind of getting lost.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. It's a lot of part of the journey.
It just reminds me how often on these travels that you put your life in the hands of strangers who are driving the car in Cairo, in Mexico City, Buenos Aires. Oh my.
Yeah.
But we're still here. So yeah.
I'm proud of you that you survived. So on most of your trips, are you alone? Are you in groups? Are you on a cruise? What do you generally like to do?
All of the above. And there's some people go, oh, a cruise ship, it's I don't know, I don't want to be locked up in that thing. Well, there's good things about it. Some places it's really hard to get to without being on a boat. Like the Alaska cruise is really good. Antarctica, you would have to know some people to get to those that
Mhm.
close to the ice down there.
Mhm.
Places that are not dependent on tourism, like Japan, well, it's not all marked up for you in English in the street signs, and the subway is so scary. I went down there once, and I was on a business trip there, and we just backed back out of it because we knew we weren't going to understand. So, um, having guides and joining groups. While we
Mhm.
took that Rick Steves
Mhm.
tour, and we're on a bus in Turkey for 1,500 miles,
Mhm.
uh, and that's helpful. Like I said, places you can't get to on your own very well. Uh, Other places, Nancy's done the planning, we just go
Mhm.
there. And then there's
City Unscripted.
and somewhere between those, and this is really pretty good. It kind of reminds me of the if you know somebody there, it's a good thing, or are you on your own? So in Japan, for both Tokyo and Kyoto,
Mhm.
uh, it's a outfit that's global called City Unscripted, and you go there, you sign up for it. It's unscripted because they don't have a program. Their guide shows up at the hotel, doesn't have a car, use public transportation, and they'll do whatever, I mean, within limits, whatever you want. They'll take you wherever you had hoped to go. You
It's
know, in Japan, it was $100 a day.
it
It was
was
pretty good.
very inexpensive, and have somebody meet you at your hotel and take you, all over the city
I think
of
he stayed with
of
us,
Tokyo and all the
and yeah, he stayed
yeah
with us for 12 hours, and we
yeah
said, well,
oh
want to have
Kyoto.
dinner? We bought dinner.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
nice.
With one guy, we
Very
spent the
helpful.
whole day in Kyoto. So City Unscripted. I would say City Unscripted is a great place to go. I use Viator a lot for I land somewhere and I just wanted to say, okay, what's a day tour? Like we're in Australia, and uh, where can we go for a day? And it may be a whole day tour, like 9 hours. But Viator is very, very good for that.
Say that again.
Viator,
Well,
Viator,
the
Viator. Uh-huh. Viator. Uh-huh.
yeah. Um,
We use Gate. We're happy with Gate One. Very inexpensive
that's our land tours. They're
land
a bus.
tours. We also do Globus some. But what we do a lot, and this is we fly to a gateway city like San Francisco or Los Angeles, like we're going to do to Thailand, and we fly on our own. A lot of times we use points for that, and then we use the airfare, sometimes negotiated by someone like Gate One or um, Globus, and use that airfare and to and from the gateway city. And so it's a lot less expensive that
Yeah.
way. And Dallas is becoming a gateway city more and more. So that's really an advantage. Um, so those are some of the places we choose. And what we also do sometimes is we often, like Argentina, we build on time before and time after. Our whole trip in Argentina was Mendoza and Buenos Aires, and then we got on a ship and went to the Falklands and Antarctica
Around.
and came up the coast of the Chilean
Yeah.
fjords. And then we flew down on our own we spent time in Santiago on our own, and then flew down to Puerto Montt. And so all that was just on our own, and then working with Viator. So you can kind of plan, sometimes you don't want to get up every day and go somewhere. And a lot of times these tours leave, you got to have your stuff ready by 8 o'clock and be out the door.
With
And
bags. Yeah.
so we do a combination of that to make it more relaxing.
There's
That's
no,
wonderful.
so a lot of times you'll go with a ship or oh, honors one. And they'll have package excursions, what do you call them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can also learn who the local people are doing that and do that on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But the risk is if you don't get back to the boat on time, they're going to leave. So
Yeah.
if you're with them,
Yeah.
you're pretty much guaranteed that they'll wait.
Yeah.
So that can be risky, but it gives you a little more control of your schedule.
Like uh, we were in Cobb Tot and recently, and that's a little town. And that was just some kind of on our own that we left a
What,
big
what
tour.
country is that?
Yeah, it is in
Croatia.
Croatia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Croatia. We were in Croatia. This was in October, and we were there. It's so busy, in Dubrovnik, And we decided not to go with the tour that one day, and we just got on an Uber and went to Tot and spent the whole day in this beautiful seaside town and went to an artist loft, and it was like almost our best day, So
Did the Uber driver act as a tour guide for you when you were doing that?
no, he just picked us up and dropped us off, and we read ahead about
Oh, okay.
and,
Although we do like to talk to the drivers if they're in the mood to do it, because they know a lot of local things that you probably wouldn't hear
Yeah.
normally, good and bad.
And actually, the taxi cab drivers and Uber cut, sometimes, that's a really, really good experience for us, because it was like maybe a half an hour from Dubrovnik to Tot, and we learned a lot about the war there, and about the people there, and about
Culture.
and about the over tourism. Over tourism is going to be a really big topic coming up. So
Dubrovnik is one of those places, Venice is talking about limiting tourists.
Yes.
Barcelona.
Barcelona. When you're there, you can know that.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
clear. We're part of it.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, when you were going through the straits,
Mm-hmm.
and the 20 feet drop, were you standing up or sitting when this happened?
Oh, so this was the really big cruise ship. So it wasn't just like taking us off the ground or anything. We could certainly feel it, but it didn't. It might have been disturbing, but it wasn't really threatening, scary.
It was scary to me.
We hold on to the railings maybe in the
You
hallways.
walked down the hallway, you were going like this from one place to another.
Yeah.
But also this was a cruise ship that was one of the smaller in the fleet, and it was a Princess cruise, and Princess was just our cruise there was the first that they had allowed in like a long, long time, because they got locked out because
Plastic cups or something.
Plastic cups
They
or
didn't
something.
explain that at great length,
And
but
so,
I think they had
they
environmental.
were just very careful. So we took one of the smaller ships on there, but
But
you
not-
definitely could feel
Yeah,
it.
they're not that small. But
It's
yeah.
not, it's
Yeah.
not like a small boat.
Okay, and let me see, what else have we got? I loved your picture of the volcano at night. That was gorgeous.
Oh, that was right at our
yeah.
hotel. It was the same one that we introduced in the daytime, and there it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
watching the
okay.
moon come up over Osborne volcano was one of those experiences that you go, this is why I travel.
Yeah, really. Have there been any eruptions in recent years when you were in the Azores? You said that it was the steam coming out, and I thought, if they had any.
Well, those are always coming out of the ground. It's like in what's the big national park?
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. It's like that. It's under the ground activity, but it's continually venting. I didn't see any evidence of it.
No.
And you can see the landscape in some of the places we were near volcanoes have been littered
Yeah.
with lava.
Yeah.
It was true in Italy.
It's always thrilling though to see volcanoes. We were in the Tyrrhenian Sea by Corsica and saw Mount Stromboli, and it was steam coming out of the top. Same in Japan. I love those natural occurrences. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay. Carol said kudos for the outstanding photography. And I think actually you already answered her question. Her question was, can you tell us more about your process for choosing your off the beaten path destinations and organizing each trip?
Yeah. And
Well, I
so,
don't know who did that.
just like the Jiufen, we could have spent the day in Taipei, which I'm sorry that we didn't in a way, but I'm not sorry that we didn't see this lovely seaside village with a lot of history. And I think you always have to feel like I'm going to come back, because you never want to leave a place where you go, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done that. You can't do everything. And if you do too much, you kind of lose the whole experience.
And we have been on many of the beaten path places too. So we had to kind of, as you said, pick and choose the ones that were off.
We've probably been in Italy more than any country. And we actually lived there a month in Perugia during the jazz festival there, where we took lots of side trips. And I would have loved to, on trains, I would have loved to have included some of those, like Deruta and or Urbino and Ancona. Those are little towns that you don't hear very much about, but really worth the trip in Italy.
Well, we would love to have you back next year.
We have any more slides?
Yeah, we do. That's the thing. We shoot 2000. I will shoot 2015 pictures, maybe, right? Okay.
Yes, at least. We have different philosophies on shit. I try to look at it and see it, and if I take it and I think I never want to see it again, I'll delete it right away. And her style is more like fishing, so she's casting, and keeping them with a net. But she gets some really good pictures that way. The other thing I say about photography, I wrote a thing if we were going to be in person called Photography Guidelines. It was kind of a thing about how we look at it. And one thing is that, I can remember Popular Photography years ago, there was an article about camera is not important, eye is important, meaning what you see. And that is still true. And it's even more true now because phones are pretty good. I mean, one of Nancy's editors said, don't bring me any phone pictures, but they've gotten really good. I mean, so I don't think we should be fussy about brands of cameras anymore. It's more like they're so smart that you don't even have to know about f-stops if you don't want to.
Exactly.
Shutter speeds. What you should think of is what you see is what you get. So, you know, make what you're looking at the picture that you want, not something you might pick out later, or it's got, people's appendages in it or anything like that. We've had some good luck shooting through bus windows, but it's always a kind of a compromise that always kind of filters it and makes it a little furry. You probably saw some of them in there.
Yes, I've taken some best pictures.
Yeah.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome.
And I appreciate your flexibility and being able to do this on Zoom today. And
Well, we appreciate your help.
Stay warm.
Thank you for everyone who tuned in,
Yeah,
and
Tara.
keep traveling. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much.